Portland Hearts of Pine has announced plans to build a privately funded soccer stadium. The stadium would be built at Cassidy Point. It would be used by both the men's and women's teams. Cassidy Point is an industrial site on the Portland waterfront. The proposed stadium would seat between 9,000 and 11,000 fans. The project is expected to cost more than $50 million and would be mostly privately funded. The club says no final stadium design or programming decisions have been made, and these renderings are conceptual. Hearts of Pine hopes to begin construction next year with the goal of opening the stadium in early 2029, pending environmental reviews, permitting, and other city approval.